So this life is different for me because I really don't have a set one thing that I want to get across and get to you. But I had a couple of things that's been on my mind. And one of them is that whenever I teach about personal finance and I have conversations with people about personal finance, one thing that they mention to me is how expensive life is. For example, we'll talk about how you shouldn't spend more than 35% on your housing, and that'll include your rent or your mortgage, your taxes or your insurance, your utility bills, and everything that comes with your housing. How you shouldn't spend more than 35% of your income on housing. And then people always are like, well, housing is so expensive, and I live in California, so we pay a ton of money for our housing. And so, with that, a lot of people will say, I do not make enough money to pay for housing, or we talk about how you shouldn't spend more than 15% of your income on transportation. That's your car note, your gas, your car insurance, all packaged into one. People are paying 40 and 50% of their income on transportation because their car note is $800, and they have these expensive they have expensive insurance, and they pay a ton in gas. And so with that, it always comes back to the same thing where people are saying, I don't make enough money. Or when it comes and talking about giving and giving generously, and I'm a pastor, so when they talk about giving to the church and we talk about a tithe or 10% or a certain percentage, people will always say, I cannot afford to give. And so the root of the problem that a lot of people say that there is that they want to increase their income, or they want to have more money. Now, I believe that those who are faithful with little can be entrusted with much, and those who don't know how to manage a little bit well can't manage much well. What that means is before you even learn to increase or want an increase, you have to learn how to manage the little bit that you have. If you mismanage $100, you'll mismanage 1,000. If you mismanage 1,000, you'll mismanage 10,000. If you mismanage 10,000, you'll mismanage 100,000. If you mismanage 100,000, you'll mismanage 1,000,000. And so, with that, a lot of people are praying for new jobs, for raises, for promotion, for more money. But what you have to ask yourself is, how am I managing the money that I have? And so we're talking about earning more, but in earning more, realize that if you don't know how to manage what you have, earning more means absolutely nothing. That's why people can win the lottery and then go bankrupt 10 years later. Why? Because they have not developed the habits of managing money. That's why people can be superstars in the NFL or NBA or other sports, and then they go broke after making millions and millions of dollars. Why? Because they did not learn how to manage their money. And so in this video, we're going to talk about earning money, but I want you to watch the other videos on my page so that you can learn about actually managing what you earn, learn how to manage what you have right now so that you'll be able to better manage the more income that you'll have in the future. I have a friend, and he always jokes with me and talks about, well, I can't wait till I get paid more money so that I could put what you talk about on your YouTube video, so I could put it into practice. I can't wait to make more money. And I'm like, well, that's not the mentality you should have. Learn how to manage what you have right now so that in the future, when you get more, you'll know how to manage it. So don't pray for something that you don't know how to manage. And so looking at it, when I'm thinking about finances and I'm thinking about increasing income, I think about how there's four levels going on in my head. I think about someone who is a laborer or someone who gets paid for what they do. Some people get paid for what they do. I call that a laborers. There are some people who are managers. Managers get paid for what they get other people to do, right? There are some people who are leaders. Leaders get paid to solve problems and to provide solutions. Where every organization they have problems and they need solutions, and that's what a leader does. He comes and he provides the solution to the problem. The problem may be we want to grow exponentially. We want to hire more people. We want to stop this bad thing from happening. We want to start these good things happening. But that's what a leader is. And then you have owners, people who are owners and get compensated because they are a owner. Now, a lot of people would make the argument, oh, if you want to make a lot of money, you have to be an owner, or an owner get paid more than a laborer, or a leader gets paid more than a manager. And maybe, but not always, right? That's not always true. You could be an owner and your business could be going down and you're actually putting yourself into debt. Or you can be someone who gets paid for their time, like Stephen Curry or LeBron James, or someone that just makes a ton of money by using the skill that they have, can get paid more than certain owners. And so looking at it, it's just a matter of you identifying, do you get paid from what you do? Do you get paid from being a manager, what you help other people do? Do you get paid as a leader of leaders, or do you get paid as an owner? And how can you increase the amount you get paid in each of those categories? So, starting off with a laborer, when I think about a laborer, I think about skills. I think about how much time does it take for someone to learn to do what it is that you do? I think about when I was an Uber driver. When I was an Uber driver, I didn't have any training. All they needed was my car to pass inspection. My car passed inspection and they said, go, you're an Uber driver. It took absolutely zero training. And so I should not have expected to make a ton of money driving for Uber or Lyft or rideshare services. Why? Because I didn't have any more skill than anyone else. And it was low level entry where absolutely anyone could do it. And so if you're working in a job that someone can learn to do in 1 hour, in 1 day, in 1 week, or even in 1 year, then you probably will not be getting compensated a ton of money because it's a very low level entry. And so people that's pushing carts or working at the grocery store as a cashier, and they're wondering why they don't get compensated more, is because they can easily replace you, because there are literally tens of millions of people that can do the job that you do. And if you drop out, they'll easily get someone else there. So when you're making, if you want to make more money from what you do, what you want to do is you want to specialize in something. You want to become a specialist where you learn something better than most other people know. When I think about a specialist, what always comes to my mind is someone who does taxes, like an accountant, but a tax professional. I think about how some people will charge about $100 per tax return, and some people will charge 100,000 per tax return. Now, what's the difference between the person that's $100 and the person that makes 100,000? The only difference is the skill level that they have. The person that makes 100,000, they have a unique skill set where whoever is paying their taxes believes that if I let you do my taxes, you're going to save me millions of dollars. So I'll happily give you $100,000. And usually, if someone is a tax professional and they specialize in real estate, well, now you're going to have a lot of wealthy real estate investors coming and going to you to help solve their tax problems, as opposed to someone who's just looking, who has a minimum wage job that's just looking for someone to do their taxes as cheap as they can so they could get them over and done with. You can apply this to absolutely any field. If people are working at a restaurant as a server, right? There are some people that serve at IHOP and Denny's. Shout out to everybody that serve at IHOP and Denny's, right? But you're not going to make a lot of money doing that in tips. Whereas you have some people that work at five-star restaurant, Michelin star restaurants. You can make a decent income and expect some large amount of tips. You could get some $300-400 tips, if not more, just from one table, and you can serve multiple tables at once. And so when you're looking at it, the only difference between the two would be their skill level. One of them have more training, more development, more skill, and they're in the right environment. So you have to be skilled, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to be in the right environment. And so, what I encourage everyone to do if you're trying to increase your income is to get with people who are doing what it is that you want to do. So if you're a real estate agent, then do you want to sell houses that's worth 250,000, or do you want to sell houses that's worth 2.5 million? Well, if you want to sell houses worth 2.5 million, you have to first get around and know some people that's selling houses worth 2.5 million. Whether you have to whether you intern there or work for free or get to know them, do whatever you can to meet and know the people who are in a position that you want to be in, because they'll teach you the things that you need to know. They'll answer questions for you that you didn't even know you had those questions in your head. And just because, this is a big one, just because you have education does not necessarily mean that you're going to get paid more. That's not necessarily adding to your skill. A lot of people go out and get a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree only to find themselves driving for Uber, working at Chipotle, working at Starbucks with college degrees. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but they're doing that because the degrees that they have don't have a lot of openings and they aren't compensating people well. I think about just certain degrees. If you're ever going to get a degree, you should research how much people are getting paid at entry level positions. What's the average people are getting paid at entry level positions that have that degree that you're going for, because it'll give you some idea of what you could expect to start at, the bare minimum you can start at. And so it's not just about education, but it's about getting the experience. So you should be in that field. It amazes me when somebody talks about how they want to get in a field, but they're not doing anything to volunteer or learn about that field. Even if it's one day a week or a couple hours a week, always be going and volunteering or interning or learning in the field that you want to go in. So that's as a laborer. As you increase your skill, and hopefully you're increasing your skill in a field that people are going to compensate you for, because you could be the most skilled bottle cap spinner tosser in the world, but if people aren't, compensating you for that, then that skill doesn't do you well financially, doesn't do anything for you financially. And so make sure people are compensating in the field that you're wanting to go into at the level that you want to get compensated in, because people want to do what they love to do, and they're like, oh, I want to do what I love to do, but then they don't love being broke. So you have to make sure that it pays and that you'll get compensated for it. Then people, so the first level of compensation is you get paid for your time, and people could get paid a ton of money for their time, a little bit of money for their time, but in general, there's usually a cap on how much you can get paid for what you do. The second level that people could get to is a managerial position when you are a manager. A manager is not really the visionary or the leader. The manager is just making sure that processes are being followed. And so a manager, they usually get paid more than the laborers because the laborers are getting paid for what they do. The managers are getting paid for what they can get others to do. So when you reach that level of management, then you're getting paid for what you can get others to do. So what's important for a manager is to go and have great people skills. And so it's hard for some people to transition from a laborer to a manager. Some people love, give me an assignment, a job, a task, and I'll get it done. Once I get it done, I'm through with it and I can forget about it and I can rely and depend on me. Some people can't make the transition to manager because now you have to rely on other people to come in, for other people to come in when they're supposed to come in, close up when they're supposed to close up, do the work that they're supposed to do, get it in when they're supposed to get it in, fire people, hire people, right? That's the role you get into as a manager where you're evaluating people. So there are some people who are great at being laborers. They can do the work all day, every day, but they're terrible at being managers because they're two completely different skill sets, right? When you're a laborer, you want to learn how to be as skilled as you can be so you can get compensated the most that you can for your time. But then as a manager, you really want to learn how to have great people skills because now it's all about how you can get the best out of the team that you're working with, how you can manage conflict, how you can manage people, how you talk to people, how you make them feel valued and appreciated, how you create a healthy work environment, how you push people to encourage them, but not too far where you push them over the ledge. That's really a skill. And so someone may be a great laborer and the best laborer, and they get passed up on a managerial position because they do not have those people skills. And people skills is not just the ability to get people to like you, but the ability to motivate them, to encourage them, and to get something done. And so that's why managers generally will get paid more than laborers, or you get paid for more for a management position because now you're more valuable to the organization because you're getting 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, 100 people to be productive and do work. And that's more valuable than you just doing the work yourself. After that, you have a leadership position. Leadership is different from being a manager because when you're a manager, you're not really setting policies, you're just managing, you're just implementing them, you're just making sure things run as they should. As a leader, you are a creator. You are creating policy. You are making suggestions. You're making changes. You have influence over people. You're You're solving problems and providing solutions. So a leader can be presented with a problem and come up with a creative solution to fix that problem. Or a leader can just go and see something wrong, provide solutions, or hear from up top a vision of what is needed, and that leader is able to go and accomplish and do that. And to a certain extent, leaders are visionaries as well because they're able to see to the future of how they want things to be, and they're able to implement processes and steps that help to make that happen. A leader is different than a manager because a manager is more about your people skills. Many people believe that being a leader is all about your people skills, which it is. You do need great people skills to be a great leader, but you also need great results. You need to lead them in a good direction. Your recommendations, what you're doing, your suggestions, it should be producing results. Now, you get compensated more at your job or wherever you are as a leader if you are producing results because you are adding value to the company, value to the organization, and the more results you produce, the more valuable you are to them and for them. And then lastly, I want to talk about how to make more as an owner because people automatically think, oh, yeah, I want to be an owner. I want to be an owner. I want to be an owner. Now, if you want to be an owner, there are some owners that are working 16, 18 hours a day and they're not even making minimum wage. They're going in debt and they're going under. And so, as an owner, you have a lot of responsibility. It's high risk but high reward, right? A high risk of your business failing. I think like 80% of businesses end up failing in the first 7 years or something. But if you succeed, then you have potential to earn a lot of money. Or you could think about ownership of people who invest in stocks and get streams of income from that and do different business ventures. But I'm talking about, you create a business that you own. With the owner, the first thing they have to see is supply and demand. Whatever business idea you have to be meeting a need, meeting a demand, right? If you're not meeting a demand, if you're not meeting a need, it's not going to be successful. And then you have to see how much supply there is versus how much demand there is. There could be a certain amount of demand, right, for a hamburger shop. Everybody like hamburgers, but if there's 10 hamburger stands on one corner or one strip, then you're going to have a lot of competition. So you have to look at competition. And I see this saying, love the content and the heart to help. Well, thank you for that comment. I love to help. And if you have any questions, just type it into a chat and I'll answer it before we get done with that. But I appreciate you. So when you're looking at being an owner, what you have to look at is you have to look at the profit, right? Then they're thinking, what I'm doing, is it profitable? And then once they get profitable, you don't want to just be working hard for yourself 20 hours, a day for yourself, no vacation, no sick time. Because if you don't show up, the business closes, you lose money, your family don't eat. And so you don't want to just make sure that it's profitable, but you want to make sure that it's scalable. Scalable meaning that you can increase the profits, that you can increase the size. That way, you're not doing all the work yourself. And that's where I see a lot of business owners, especially minority business owners, struggle with is we know how to start a business, we know how to have a business, we know how to sell product, but we have a challenge with scaling our business, which a lot of businesses have that challenge because that's hard to do. But what we have to learn how to do is actually scale it, because when we scale it, then it's more profitable and we don't have to work as hard, and we can go out and we can enjoy life. And so this was just a heart to heart from me to you to say these are just different areas of compensation, of when I'm talking to family members and friends and they're saying, hey, I need to make more money. When they say that, I say, you are on the right track. When you're saying, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, I can't afford housing and transportation, I'm not saving how I want to save, I'm not investing how much I want to invest, I don't have enough money to retire, then the first thing you need to do is realize there is a problem. Once you realize there is a problem, you start looking at solutions to the problem. And so if you make minimum wage and you don't see a problem with making minimum wage, you're just going to keep making minimum wage. But if you're not making the income that you want to make and you say, hey, this is a problem, then you get to a point where you're saying, well, let me start finding out solutions for this problem. And so, with that, what I'm encouraging you to do is I'm encouraging you to go out and find solutions for your problems. If you want to earn more, you can earn more. There's a ton of money out there. I encourage you to continue your financial literacy. The more you know about money, the more you'll attract money. Keep looking for opportunities. Don't give up on yourself. You can do it. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my page, that you like it, that you comment. I will respond to each and every comment that you all make. And then make sure that you watch the other videos on my channel, which are all about financial literacy.